Okay, so picture this. You're driving through an industrial zone. It could be anywhere, really. Outside Frankfurt, maybe on the outskirts of Madrid or Rome.
No, there's anonymous places.
Exactly. And you pass this facility that just looks, it looks serious.
Right, you're talking, what, big fences, guards?
I'm talking triple-layer perimeter walls, biometric scanners at the gates, armed guards patrolling the fence line. There are no corporate logos, no flashy signs. It has that distinct, military black site energy.
The kind of place where you just assume if you even slowed down your car, you'd have a tactical team on you in 30 seconds.
Totally. But this isn't a spy hub. It's not an intelligence agency. It's a factory. And it's producing the most ubiquitous object in the lives of 350 million people. This is where they print the euro.
And that contrast is what makes this deep dive so compelling. We handle these notes every single day. We crumple them into our pockets. We shove them into vending machines. But the origin story of that piece of cotton, and yes, we will get to why it's cotton, not paper, is just this incredible mix of high-stakes geopolitics, military-grade security, and some surprisingly advanced physics.
Today, we are going inside what's been called the secret network behind Europe's money. We have a stack of sources here that trace the entire life of a banknote, from raw textile fields all the way to the high-security vaults. And we're going to try to uncover the European paradox, how a continent of nations that historically went to war with each other now coordinates to print identical money with absolute secrecy.
That really is the core mystery here, isn't it? How do you get 20 sovereign nations with different languages, different histories, frankly, different levels of trust, to build a unified infrastructure where a note printed in Lisbon is physically indistinguishable from one printed in Vienna?
Well, let's start with the structure, because the research highlights just how unique this is. In the US, for example, you have the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. It's centralized.
One place.
One place. In China, it's all state-controlled. But Europe chose what looks like chaos, or maybe organized chaos.
Distributed intelligence is the polite term for it. Unlike the US, Europe operates a network of 11 separate high-security printing works scattered all across the continent.
So you have the Bundesdruckerei in Germany, Imbisa in Spain, the Banque de France.
And others, yeah.
So the European Central Bank, the ECB, in Frankfurt, they're like the head office, but they don't actually get any ink on their hands.
Precisely. The ECB is the architect. They authorize the volume. They say, okay, we need X billion euros this year. But the national central banks, they're the builders. They physically produce the notes, and they use a pooling system to do it.
This is one of the first aha moments for me in the reading. They don't all print every single note. It's specialized.
Right. It's all about efficiency. In a given year, the ECB might tell the Bank of Spain, you are the specialist for the 20-year this year.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the Germans might handle the 5 euros and the 50s. They split the workload based on things like GDP and projected demand.
But just think about the engineering headache that creates. You have a 50 euro printed in Germany, and then maybe next year it's printed in Italy. They have to be chemically, visually, and tactily identical.
They have to be. If they aren't, the entire system collapses. If a cashier in Paris feels a note that's slightly thicker or has a different texture, their first thought is counterfeit.
Of course.
So the technical specifications have to be absolutely rigid. A technician in Madrid and a technician in Berlin are following the exact same recipe down to the micron.
So why do it this way? Why not just build one giant super factory in Brussels and call it a day?
Resilience. That's the strategic advantage of all this messiness. If you have one super factory and it gets hit by a flood, a fire, or a cyber attack,
The entire continent runs out of cash.
Exactly. You've created a single point of failure. By distributing the network, you eliminate that. If the presses in Paris stop for whatever reason, the presses in Rome and Lisbon just keep running.
It's a network that's designed to survive a disaster.
It is. But that distribution requires a terrifying level of security. The sources describe what they call a fortress culture inside these walls.
Yeah, let's talk about the human element. Because it's not just walls and guns. The protocols for the actual workers, they sound exhausting.
Oh, it's intense. If you work at one of these places, you aren't just swiping a badge. You are passing through iris scanners, weight sensors, airlocks, and once you're inside, you are in a panopticon. Cameras record everything forever.
And the research mentioned this concept of need to never know.
That's the compartmentalization philosophy. In a normal factory, you want workers to understand the whole process so they can spot errors, right?
Sure, it makes sense.
Here, that's a security risk. So the workers in the paper mill who make the raw material, they don't talk to the printers. Printers don't interact with the finishing team. Information flows vertically up the chain to the ECB, but never horizontally.
So if you wanted to pull some kind of heist or run a counterfeiting operation from the inside, you couldn't. You only know, 10% of the puzzle?
Exactly. You literally don't know what the person in the next room is doing.
Now, speaking of the different factories, there's a little Easter egg hiding in our listeners' pockets right now. I actually checked my wallet before we started. It works.
The printer code.
Right. If you have a euro note nearby, pull it out. Look for the serial number or that small 6-character code on the front. The very first letter tells you exactly where that note was born.
So if you see a V, you are holding a note printed by Imbisa in Spain.
I have one right here.
An R means it came from the Bundesdruckerei in Berlin. U is the Banque de France.
It's like a little manufacturing passport.
Right.
It connects you, the person holding it, directly to this secret network. And honestly, looking at the notes I have, I never would have guessed they came from different countries. The uniformity is scary good.
And that goodness starts with the material itself. We need to dispel the biggest myth about money right now.
That it's paper.
That it's paper. It is absolutely not paper. If it were wood pulp paper, like a page in a book,
Oh, it'd be gone in a second.
it would disintegrate the first time you left it in your jeans pocket in the washing machine.
So what are we actually holding?
You are holding textile. Euro banknotes are 100% pure cotton fiber. Specifically, they use something called cotton linters, which are the short fibers left over as a byproduct from the textile industry.
So my money is basically made of the same stuff as my t-shirt.
Essentially, yes. That's what gives it that distinctive crisp sound, that snap when you handle a fresh note. It's durable. It can be folded thousands of times without tearing. But the cotton is just the canvas. The security features that are built into the cotton, that's where the real sci-fi stuff begins.
The ghost in the machine, as one of our sources call it. The watermarks.
This is one of the oldest security features in history, but people still misunderstand how it works. They think a watermark is some faint image stamped onto the note.
It's not ink.
It's not. It is created during the paper-making process itself.
This is when the cotton is still wet pulp.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They run the wet pulp over a cylinder that has a relief image on it. Where the cylinder is raised, the cotton pulp settles thinner. Where it's lower, the pulp settles thicker.
So the image isn't printed on, it is the paper. It's a variation in the density of the sheet itself.
Correct. The thinner areas let more light through. That's the bright part of the portrait. The thicker areas block the light. That's the shadow. And the reason this is so secure is that you cannot photocopy paper density. A copy is just ink on a flat surface. It will never look right when you hold it up to a light.
And then you have the security thread. To the naked eye, it just looks like a dark line running down the note. But the sources say this is a little technological marvel in itself.
Oh, it's a sandwich of technology.
Yeah.
Under a microscope, that thread has demetallized windows, it has fluorescence, and it has microtext embedded right inside it.
Microtext.
Yeah, tiny little letters spelling out the value and the euro symbol, way too small for the naked eye to read, but clear as day under magnification. And then there are the features you can't see, even with a microscope. The chemical taggants.
This part sounded like something out of a spy novel. Invisible DNA.
It's a good analogy. These are secret chemical compounds that are mixed right into the pulp. We don't know what they are. That information is highly classified. But when a central bank sorting machine processes millions of notes, its sensors are looking for that specific chemical signature.
So if the chemistry's off, the machine just spits it out.
Instantly. It's a binary authentication. It's either real or it's not. There's no in between.
Okay, so we have this high-tech cotton sheet. Now we enter phase 2, the printing ballet. And this seems to be a battle between two very different techniques, offset and intaglio.
Think of offset printing as the canvas and intaglio as the sculpture on top of it.
So offset is the background layer.
Yes, offset printing is high speed and super precise. It lays down all those beautiful, intricate background patterns. The technical term is gouache loops. This layer also includes the invisible UV inks.
The stuff that glows under a black light.
Or under a cashier's UV lamp. If you look at a 5-note under UV light, you'll see stars glowing green or patterns in red and blue. It's a whole second layer of design that is normally completely invisible. But the real heavyweight champion, the thing that gives money its authority, is intaglio.
Intaglio. It sounds delicate, but the process is actually incredibly violent.
It is brute force engineering. Intaglio refers to engraved printing. They take these etched steel plates and press them into the paper with immense force. We're talking tons of pressure per square inch.
Tons.
Enough to physically crush the cotton fibers into the tiny recesses of the steel plate. When they pull the paper away, the ink stands up in these palpable ridges.
Yeah, that's the texture. I'm running my thumb over the number on this 20 right now, and I can feel the ridges.
That tactile difference is crucial. It's one of the primary ways the blind and visually impaired can distinguish denominations, but it's also a total nightmare for counterfeiters. You can print a high-res image of a banknote, but you cannot replicate that 3D raised ink with a laser printer.
It's just not possible.
Intaglio is slow, maybe 10 times slower than offset. But they do it because nothing else feels like money.
It seems like every generation of notes gets more and more complex. The newer Europa series introduced what the sources call advanced optical security. We're moving into physics now.
We really are. Look at the emerald number in the corner of your note. When you tilt it, the number changes color from a bright emerald green to a deep blue.
And there's that bar of light that moves up and down, the rolling bar.
That isn't just a fancy pigment, that is structural color. They use microscopic flakes in the ink that are aligned magnetically during the printing process to interfere with light waves in a specific way. Then you have the holograms on the side.
Which are there to defeat scanners, I'm guessing.
Precisely. A scanner takes a static 2D picture. A hologram is dynamic. It changes based on the angle of the light. So you tilt the note, you see the value, then you see a portrait, then a window. It's basically an animation. You can't photocopy an animation.
It sounds like they're just throwing everything but the kitchen sink at these notes.
They have to. It's an arms race. As consumer technology gets better, 4K scanners, high-end printers, the central banks have to stay 10 steps ahead. And that's why the quality control is so obsessive. The tolerance for error in these factories is effectively zero.
The sources mentioned high-speed eyes.
These are cameras that scan thousands of notes per minute. They check for color registration, cut precision, watermark clarity. If a note is off by a sub-millimeter, maybe the cut is slightly askew, it gets rejected instantly.
And this part actually hurt my soul a little bit to read about, the briquettes.
It is painful to think about. If a sheet of money has an error, they don't just recycle it. That would be a security risk.
So they shred them.
Immediately. And then compress them into these small, dense bricks of shredded cash. They look like modern art, but they're worth millions. And these are destroyed under armed guard. They never leave the facility intact.
Wow.
They even do destructive testing.
What does that entail?
They will pull a perfect batch of notes off the line money that is absolutely ready to spend and physically tear them apart, crumple them thousands of times, or dissolve them in chemicals just to prove they meet the durability standards.
Dissolving money to make sure it's good money.
Yeah.
That is dedication.
It's the price of a stable currency.
So let's assume the nodes survive all that. Now they have to get out into the world. The distribution section of the research reads like a heist movie script. Moving trust.
It is the most vulnerable point in the entire chain. When the money is in the factory, it's behind 3 walls. When it's in the bank vault, it's safe. But moving it from A to B, that's dangerous.
Armored convoys.
With unpredictable routes, they never take the same road twice. They have police or even military escorts. They're moving these bricks of bundled cash to the national central bank vaults. And these are bunkers designed to resist armies. Only then does it trickle down to the commercial banks and finally to the ATM where you withdraw it.
Now, we spent all this time talking about the physical miracle of this cotton note, but we have to pivot because the sources are very clear that the ECB is preparing for a massive shift, the digital euro.
This is the elephant in the room, and it's crucial to understand what this is and what it isn't.
My first thought, and I think everyone's thought is this just Euro Bitcoin?
And the answer is a hard no. This is not crypto. Crypto is decentralized, it's volatile. The digital euro is central bank money. It's a public good, just like a physical banknote. It's a liability of the central bank, which means it's fundamentally risk-free.
But I already have Apple Pay. I can tap my phone. Why does the government need to build its own version?
2 big reasons: privacy and sovereignty. Think about it. When you use Apple Pay or Visa, a private company mediates that transaction. They see the data. They know you bought coffee at 9 a.m.
Right.
The ECB is designing the digital euro with an offline capability.
Offline, so I could pay you without an internet connection.
Exactly, device to device, using near-field communication. If it's offline, the ECB doesn't see the transaction data. It settles directly between us, just like handing over a physical 20 euro. The goal is to replicate the privacy of cash in a digital format.
That's a huge distinction. Usually digital implies tracked.
They are actively trying to break that link. And then there's the geopolitical angle, what they call strategic autonomy. Right now, Europe's payment rails are dominated by American companies: Visa, MasterCard, PayPal.
So Europe is relying on foreign tech to run its economy.
Which is a vulnerability. If those networks go down or if geopolitical tensions rise, Europe is exposed. They want a sovereign digital rail. Just like they built a network of printing presses so they wouldn't rely on one factory, they're building a digital network so they don't have to rely on Silicon Valley.
It connects right back to that theme of resilience we started with.
It does. Whether it's cotton or code, the goal is the same. A system that cannot be easily disrupted.
It really is a fascinating evolution. We've gone from cotton linters and intaglio pressure to offline digital wallets. But the core philosophy, it seems, hasn't changed.
And that brings us right back to the European paradox we mentioned at the start.
The trust aspect.
It really is remarkable when you step back. You have 20 countries: France, Germany, Spain, Italy, nations with a lot of history, and not all of it friendly. And yet they have managed to build this unbelievably complex, high-security infrastructure where a technician in Berlin and a technician in Madrid are adhering to the exact same millimeter-perfect standards.
The Euro banknote is basically a political statement printed in security ink.
It really is. It's a physical manifestation of cooperation. It's probably the most complex manufacturing network on Earth, and it's disguised as pocket change.
So here is our final thought for you. The next time you're buying a coffee and you pull out a 10 euro or a 20 note, don't just hand it over. Take 5 seconds.
Feel the ridges on the number. Tilt it to see the emerald number roll. Check that tiny little letter code to see if you're holding a piece of Spain or Germany or France.
Realize that you are holding a masterpiece of engineering that thousands of people are, right now, guarding with their lives.
And then buy your coffee.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Europe's money factory. We'll catch you on the next one.
Stay curious.